is the Vintage RPG Podcast, your source for the best in classic and contemporary RPGs. With your hosts, Hambone and Stu.
Welcome to the Vintage RPG Podcast, coming at you again from the clubhouse in somewhere in the swamps of New Jersey. I'm John Hambone McGuire, and with me, as always, is the founder and publisher of Unwinnable. When it came to buying toys, he said, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me right back. Stu Horvath.
Man, we just ran through the list, and I was just like, we're going to talk about toys, and you're like, which ones? And I was like, let's talk about this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. And as I'm listing them off, I'm just like, well, maybe we need to like cut this into 2 episodes, and we're going to do like the NECA D&D toys first, and then we'll do the Super 7 stuff. But I have to mention, we'll talk about this at greater length, but like I was very much like recently, I've gotten a lot more toys and I'm all caught up, and I was just like, I think I'm done. I don't need to really, like, if I do a book on D&D toys, I'm really going to limit it to the 80s. I don't need to be buying all of these new toys, as cool as they are. But then I was just like, I happened to be on the Super 7 site, and I saw the freaking D&amp that is, the pre-order's over there, but you can pre-order it on Big Bad Toy Company. And it was like, you know.
Yeah, that D&amp got a lot of dudes hot and bothered. It's fucking spectacular.
It is. It's so... But like, it's as spectacular as it is, I think that it's a perfect encapsulation of sort of like, I don't want to call it the problem with the modern toy scene, because I don't think it's a problem. I think that it's like I think that this is the intention behind it, but it's a problem for me personally.
Yeah.
That thing is awesome. A, B, expensive.
Yeah.
$300. And C, which is really the most important part in terms of my problem, is that it's huge. It's 2 feet long.
Yeah. I mean,
almost 2 feet high. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, though, it's got to be huge comparative to the actual figures that you would accessorize it with.
The 7-inch Ultimates. Yeah. And it is. It's in scale. It's just funny because it's like, it's really expensive, but it's not the money that's preventing me. It's the fact that I literally do not have a space in my house where I could put a toy of that size.
Yeah. I mean, like, Jared's only like, what, 1.5 feet taller than that toy would be, standing on its hind legs?
Well, if I got the toy, I feel like it would be all the justification Jared needs to get me to get a dog. And it's just like, nah.
Yeah, yeah.
The same size.
But we can name the dog Tiamat.
Oh,
no.
God, no.
I mean,
anyway.
Shit. I'm Googling it now. How many feet was the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier? I think it was like 5 feet, right?
Yeah, no, that thing was huge.
Yeah, so I mean, Tiamat only being 2 feet.
But Tiamat's different because Tiamat is not the aircraft carrier. The aircraft carrier was designed for kids to play with on the floor and to like get shoved into a closet. Like the Tiamat is premium vinyl toy collector toy, where like you pose it and you like you dust it lovingly, you know, like it's a different set of use cases. So yeah, it is smaller than the aircraft carrier, but I still think it's far more egregious.
I mean, it is so cool looking, but I can imagine like a person who, say, lives with a special somebody in a 1-bedroom apartment, then being like, the size of our coffee table.
Yeah. And it's not like I have like a tiny apartment either. Like I have space, but I still don't have that kind of space.
Yeah.
And I'm still thinking about buying this stupid thing.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, you probably will. I mean, you put it in the clubhouse like on a high shelf. It could guard the loft. I mean, I'm encouraging anyone to buy this thing. And if you do, I will come over your house and at least take a hard style photo in front of it, standing on its hind legs. Because I mean, how could you not? But I mean, look, they're making such cool stuff. They make it hard to say no about this stuff. So before we get into the actual gist of the thing, I wanted to say thanks to Ron. Page 2 was a blast. I want to make sure I get this out of the way at the top of the episode when people are still listening. Page 2 was an absolute blast. It was great hanging out with some friends in the hobby that I don't get to see too often. It was great meeting new people and making new friends. I got to run some sick games after hours, and I just had a great experience from head to toe. I can't recommend page in Philadelphia Area Game Expo. He's doing a third. It is going to be like double the size.
Nice.
And this one was pretty big. So it could be the biggest convention on the East Coast, which is something we desperately needed because not everyone can make it out to Indianapolis once a year. So definitely check that out. January of next year, just join the Facebook group. You'll get updates on it. And yeah, I had a blast there this weekend. Also, I just posted something. I want to make sure people have the opportunity to check it out. Crowdfund Your Fucking Life, free over on Drive Through RPG, or pay what you want because, you know, I'm not opposed to making money, but I made a community resource for people launching their first crowdfunding campaigns. And it's also pretty good with all the knowledge and mistakes that I have made in 5 years of crowdfunding. So check that out. Download it. Crowdfund Your Fucking Life. It's got the Grawlix, so you don't actually need to put the word fuck in there. Just crowdfund F. It'll pop up. Yeah, and Grawlix, I just found out what the little squibblies and wibblies and the things that make you able to curse in comics are.
Yeah.
Called Grawlix.
Yeah, I never knew that.
The more you know. So we're going to talk about the NECA toys. They're awesome.
They are.
They're just awesome.
Yeah. So in terms of modern D&D toys, I just checked. We've covered NECA. We've just covered the Lost Wave, which was the reissued 3-inch scale LJN toys that came out at Gen Con a couple years back. And we covered the Ultimates Warduke and Grim Sword. And since then, the next one that released was Zarak, who is the half-orc assassin.
The best.
So good. It's just a fantastic toy in his original form, although not like a really great adaptation of like sort of the canon half-orc at the time. He's very short, but just a delightful character. He's green and warty, and he comes with a knife, the original, and he's got like this weird hunch, which is cool because he's like an assassin, so he's like sort of skulking, and all of that kind of carries over just as the same with Warduke and Grimsword into when they upgraded him to an ultimate. You know, it's everything that was true about the original toy that you imagined, you projected onto the toy. To make that toy cool. Like now it's there in the plastic. Like he is literally as cool as you used to imagine him being. The texture of his cloak, the sculpt quality of his face. He is such a perfect 80s goblin face. I could picture him coming to life and running around my house and stabbing me like in Cat's Eye. He definitely brings the Cat's Eye energy. He comes with so many knives and a grappling hook that actually has string and a hand that you could use to like wrap it around, and it's like he's holding on to it so you can hang him up. The first thing I did when I got him out of the box was have him climb my wall because I have these, you know, little shelf supports that I could hang the grappling hook off of, and it just worked perfectly. He just you know, was like rappelling up the wall in all of his evil goblin.
Oh, how could you not?
Skulking. Yeah, it was great.
Like, I mean, the grappling hook is like to me, you know, and this is the hill I'm going to die on here, the quintessential accessory for any figure from like the 80s on. Like, if your dude had a grappling hook in any way, whether it worked or not, if it had any way to like hook onto something, you could hang a dude from it and whatever. Infinitely more exciting than anything else.
Right?
Oh
like I feel
God.
like what was the He-Man? Was it Web Store that had
Web Store? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I feel like there's web stores like that are like still hanging in like in basements across the country. Like just because like at some point, you know, the owner kid was just like, I found the perfect place to hang him and we're never gonna move him.
Yeah, I mean, like, why bother? I mean, it's just it's just there. You're only going to do it so much. Like it's you know, as much as like, you know, by the time this, you know, the Webster came out, a lot of kids were like, I'm starting to outgrow He-Man a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're like, I can't deny that this figure is so cool. I have to do something with it, you know? So, yeah, I mean,
Zarak, beautiful figure, and introduces a wrinkle in the NECA D&D Ultimates line at that point, because at that point they had done Warduke, who is arguably the best and most recognizable of the LJN
Oh
action
yeah.
figures,
Oh yeah.
and accompanied him by Grimsword, who is not an iconic character, but they did such a good job with him. Like, he's such a hulking beast that like he's like cooler than ever. And then you follow that up with Zarak. Where do you go from there? It's a hard act to follow, right? And the next one that they put out is Strongheart. I almost didn't buy him.
Really?
I was just like, I always hated that guy. Like, I just don't like the original design. Like, I know that he's supposed to be like your basic knight in shining armor, but like, there's so many like weird things about that toy that like irked me on like a
Yeah.
subliminal level, that now I can see it's like, oh, he's like abiding by the superhero rule that you have to wear your underwear on the outside. And like, you can tell that like there's parts of him that are painted silver to be metal, but were sculpted to be flesh, like a barbarian. It's a weird toy. And like, he was such like a, I don't know. He just seems like a butt, you know, like,
Yeah.
like this, he's not cool. Yeah. And he wasn't cool in the cartoon. And like, he just like, even the other good figures, like I think Mercion is a way cooler.
Oh, Marcian's fantastic. Yeah.
Always loved her. She's super cool. And even like Melf and Elkhorn, who we'll talk about Elkhorn in a minute. I just think that they're more interesting toys. Like, I don't know, Mustache Bro is just the Mustache Bro. But I did buy him because of course I did, because that's what I do. And he's a fantastic toy too. He does suffer a bit from like the Poindexter hero kind of thing. Like, he's just not as cool as Warduke. But he is still, they make him, he winds up being pretty cool. They fixed the problem of the underwear on the outside. He now has sort of like a blue kilt over his armor. The armor sculpting is just fantastic. But I'll tell you what, the saving grace, the thing that turned him from like a toy that I was not going to be excited about to a toy that I secretly love, is he's got a visor that lifts up. So first of all, that's a vast improvement over the original, because one of it was sculpted up, so you always had his doofy mustache face.
Yeah.
And so this, like, you could lower it, and then he's like a badass dude in a mask. Badass dudes in masks. There's a whole. I don't know if you know this, Hambone, but people respond to badass dudes in masks.
Sure thing.
Darth Vader, Boba Fett, the entire line of mask toys. It's like a thing. So if you got G.I. Joe, the guys with the helmets are cooler than the guys without the helmets. It's just
that's right.
fact.
Snake eyes.
Right. like even the good guys in the helmets. Barbecue. One of the coolest helmets in the 80s. So the fact that you could put the visor down and he has like a helmet on makes him way cooler. But when you lift the visor, he looks familiar. I got him out of the package. I kind of looked at the mustache and the jaw and the cheekbones, and I was like, did they model him after Tom Selleck's Magnum PI?
I was just going to say that. I'm looking at the picture right now. And first and foremost, now he finally looks like he could go toe-to-toe with Warduke and put up a fight. The blue kilt thing is a lot better than... And listen, I'm a huge proponent on the underwear on the outside. Look at Superman as my prime example. But now he looks like a knight that would actually be able to hold his own. I mean, Warduke is still going to kill him. But like... the old Strongheart Warduke was like, I will fart in your general direction and you'll die because you look like a jobber. But this one, he looks tough, and I think he's even more impressive because I wholeheartedly agree. And we should ask him. I'm sure we can get in touch with NECA and be like, did you really just make Tom Selleck as Warduke? Because if you did, I will actually buy this figure.
Hambone, I can tell you that I did ask.
Did you really?
Yeah. So yeah, I follow some NECA folks who are involved in the production of the Dungeons and Dragons toys. And I immediately sent a picture of the Zarak when he was on the grappling hook to him when I got him out of the package, and we're just friendly acquaintances on the Instagram. And when I saw Strongheart and I was like, man, that looks like Magnum. I was like, all right, I gotta ask. I gotta ask. And I asked. And I would normally just be like, oh yeah, this person said this, but I'm gonna obfuscate a little bit because I think the official line is that Magnum was in the back of the mind as they were
Oh yeah.
approaching this design. He is not technically Magnum, and you could see that he's not technically Magnum. The jaw is a little different, and like the mustache is, he's his own person, he's his own character, because you don't want to have to worry about Tom Selleck wanting the rights for his face. Like there's a money thing there. So, but
I don't want to find out the level of litigiousness that would occur here.
Yeah, but I it has been confirmed that Magnum was definitely on folks' mind when Strongheart hit the sculpting table, which and again, like it is not a sculpt of Magnum. You could tell, but you could also tell that like I did. Like I think that most people's first reaction is going to be it's Magnum enough for me, especially considering Magnum was a nerd in the show and played Dungeons and Dragons-esque video games.
This is true.
It just feels like and there's an episode where he dresses in the Masquerade episode, I think in season 4. He dresses in like a ridiculous suit of armor for a masquerade. He's got like a broken leg and he hobbles. It's so good. So like there's all sorts of like 80s pop culture intersectional nostalgia going on here.
Yeah, man. It kind of makes me wonder, a little sidebar here, because I'm thinking of you like taking like the photo of the Zarak hanging on the grappling hook. Is like toy photos in your 40s the equivalent of like a tasteful nude?
Oh God.
An artistic nude, I mean. Yeah, I just sent this picture to my buddy. It's a picture of Zarak hanging from a grappling hook, looking menacing. Anyway, so
no comment. So then they followed. To your point, that now he looks like he could go to toe to toe with Warduke. I do think that he's still going to die, but at least you're gonna feel bad when he dies. You're gonna be like, oh man, he really gave it his all. But and another improvement, they gave him a shield, which was always lacking in the original. He feels like he's a sword and board kind of guy. And then when you get the shield in the Ultimates package, you're like, yeah, of course he has a shield.
Yeah, I kind of like I had a thought about that, like, as you kind of mentioned we're going to talk about this. It always for me goes back to like the economy of the figure, because you're looking at, unlike He-Man and a lot of other toy lines, each one had a completely unique sculpt.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they weren't even based off the same height and build. Like everyone was different. So I'd imagine it's like, well, we could give him a shield, or this other guy can actually look tough. Like, because he's got like, Grimsword had those like little things hanging off the side of his helmet. Like, I think it just may, and again, I would love to track down one of the people who designed these for LJN back in the day. But in my head canon, it's got to be like an economy of like, all right, what's the trade-off here? We can't give him a shield, but Melf or Perlay, if you're nasty, can have like a fucking bird, Yeah,
but like the whole line, the original line is so strange, because on the one hand you have like your Strongheart and your Zarak, who both just come with a single weapon. Zarak's is a tiny dagger that is like legendary for becoming instantly lost. But then towards the end of the line, you have like Hawkler, who is like one of the most over accessorized toys I've ever encountered. He has, like these adult aimed toys, you get the extra hands and like a whole bunch of accessories and stuff. And like that's that's Hawkler in 1984. He's got like a hawk, he's got a bandolier, he's got a dagger, he's got bow and arrow, and it's just all this stuff. Like, so the fact that Hawkler exists with all that stuff makes it even weirder that I do think that you're right, that there was a cost benefit analysis of like whether or not Strongheart gets a shield, but like in the greater context of the whole line, it just becomes strange.
Well, also remember two things. One, oh shit, Hawkler had the bird. The Melf joke still plays. Go with it. Two, Strongheart was early in the line, so
yes.
as you got to characters like Hawkler, like there was a little more steam,
Yeah.
behind it. So I could imagine they were like, okay, we have more of a budget to give accessories now, but Strongheart, you get a cape and a sword, and you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. And then after Strongheart, they did Elkhorn the dwarf. And again, I was sort of like, do I need a dwarf action figure?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I know the answer is yes. But initially, I lie to myself, Hambone. I lie to myself and I pretend like it's a struggle. So that when I do finally give in, I feel like I resisted a little bit, And that's exactly what I did. I was just like, I don't need a dwarf. Who cares? Like dwarf, whatever. And then I was just like, I bought him. And honestly, so like Mystique, Warduke, still a mile ahead. But in terms of sheer quality of toy, Elkhorn is by far the best in the line and maybe one of my favorite action figures ever. There's just an attention to detail. He's such a fun, like you could feel the fun of the sculpt that the sculptor had when he was making this dwarf. He loves this dwarf and it comes through. He has so many accessories, including a little translucent pink crystal heart, which is the Heartstone from the D&D module that features all these ding dongs.
Amazing.
Elkhorn's interesting as in his original sculpt because he's different from what you expect from dwarf stereotypes, basically. And dwarf stereotypes are really strongly enforced in D&D, so it's sort of ironic that Elkhorn doesn't really abide by them. He is a sword and board dwarf. He does not have a hammer or an axe. And I always thought that was an interesting design choice. Also, he had a blue beard, which was pretty striking. He still has a blue beard in the NECA sculpt. But as much as I enjoy the fact that he comes with a sword and a shield, which are perfect reconstructions for the 7-inch scale.
And the detail on the pants is outstanding.
Oh god, the pants texture is so good. But my favorite things are sword and shield. I love his backpack, which opens. You can stick the crystal and the Heartstone in there that he comes with, and then you can close it with a little strap, and then there's straps for the sword, which you could slip in, and then you can hang the shield on the sword, and he still stands. His center of gravity is still the figure is capable of standing with all of this kit on.
That's no small feat.
No, it's fantastic. And then with his sword and shield stowed, you could actually put my favorite accessories in his hands, which one is a torch, which is fantastic. So you have him holding the torch up high. And then he's got this they all have multiple hands, right? And he's got this one that's sort of like it's like almost a closed fist, but he's got one finger out, like hooking out. And that's the one that you could put the clay drinking jug in. He comes with like an ale jug. It's so good. It's like my favorite thing in the world. And like if you wanted to, you could do it where like I'm pretty sure that you could manage to hook the jug on his hand and put the jug on the back of his hand, and because that's how you drink from a jug. You balance it on the and then you tip it back. And I think that you could get him into a pose like that. I don't. I just have him holding it like loose at his side. But the fact that he's a dwarf and he's got a jug of booze is like the coolest thing in the world. I love it so much, and it's so much personality. I did not expect, as much as I've always kind of liked Elkhorn, I did not expect him to become my favorite in this incarnation of the D&D toys. Like,
I just love that he has two head sculpts. Like he's got the head sculpt, and he's got the we're fighting head sculpt. Like I'm screaming at you something really like obscene and dwarven.
Yes,
and you don't want to know.
Yeah, his beard is great. It's bluish, and like he's got like great braids. Like the whole thing is really like I said. You could feel the love that the sculptor had for the character. He's just fantastic.
I mean, Stu, that feels kind of like a final thought to me, or close enough for rock and roll. Do you have any final thoughts on the NECA Dungeons and Dragons Ultimate lines?
I do, because there's a variant set. They are less expensive. They come with fewer accessories, and their colorways are done to match the LJN toys. It's a 50th anniversary celebration version. All of them except for Grimsword have been issued with this colorway. I've only bought the Warduke version.
Right.
In part because there's just a little bit like the because they are done in the retro style. I feel like that paint job does a disservice to the level of detail that's in the figures.
Right.
Like the Elkhorn looks way better in the Ultimates version, the $50 Ultimates version, than he does in the $25, LJN colorways version. But the Warduke is the exception, because the Warduke kind of vibrates on a different level of awesome. I do kind of want to go in there with my miniature paint washes to just give it like a little bit of contrast. But having him in the in like the bright, uncomplicated colorway really kind of makes that figure pop in a way that is cool and interesting. So I have that one in addition to my Ultimates, and it's the LJN colorway that is on the shelf on the display, not in the loft.
Huh. My final thought, I'm going to add something real quick.
Sure.
Man, if they really wanted to get a sequel made of Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, they should have put Warduke in it.
The fact that Warduke isn't in the first one is really strange.
It bothers me on a very fundamental level. And I love that movie. I had a blast watching. I'll watch it on any plane that I'm on. But man, like, it's Warduke.
The whole contemporary phenomenon built around the marketing of the kids from the cartoon show puzzles me on a marketing level. Just like, I just don't think that, like, yes, there is a nostalgia value for people like me and you. But I don't think that people care about those characters the way that they do, say, a Warduke.
I mean, you look at Warduke. He looks like the coolest thing ever next to Boba Fett. Right. He's like a fantasy Boba Fett.
He is fantasy Boba Fett.
He is like a Venom level, like, all right, I don't even know what this is all about, but I'm interested because that looks so cool. Like, God, how do you drop the ball on Warduke anyway? That would be another friggin' half-hour episode. So,
yeah. So we'll come back. We did NECA next, maybe next week or in the next few weeks. We'll come back. We'll circle back around and do the Super 7 toys, because there were a couple new ones there, and they're pretty great too.
Yeah, and we will be back over the next few weeks. We got a decent amount, I think, of Zine Quest, Zine Month coverage coming. We have a lot of people we want to definitely talk to about this. A lot of cool stuff happening. Because as you know, we do support the indies in a big way, which, a lot of people think is kind of a misnomer about the show being called the Vintage RPG Podcast. But you know what? Those games will be vintage eventually. So you're going to hear, like 25 or so years. But, listen, I still feel like people are going to be playing Mothership 25 years from now. But yeah, just keep your eyes out, keep your ears open. We got some cool coverage coming for Zine Month, Zine Quest. Stu, where can people find you on the internet?
They could find me on vintagerpg.com. We got a newsletter. We got daily posts going up on the site. You could get daily posts if you join our awesome Discord, which Hambone will tell you about in a second. You could also see those posts daily popping up on Blue Sky. You could follow all those things if you go to vintagerpg.com. All the links are there.
Very cool. You can find me across the internet at John McGuire RPG. I'm actually really just posting on Instagram, and not even so much on Instagram. I'm over on the Blue Sky at John McGuire RPG. Having a delightful time over there.
It's pretty chill.
I'm posting more. But if you really want to get down, you want to join our Discord. We have a cool Discord that anyone could be a part of. But we also have a Patreon-only Discord just for our patrons, patreon.com/vintagerpg. It comes with your membership, which includes early release episodes. You get them at some point on Friday or Saturday. This one we're recording on Friday, so you might not get it till Sunday. Stuff happens. But you also get a behind-the-scenes look at what Stu's working on. You get a behind-the-scenes look at the stuff that I'm working on. And before I launched Crowdfund Your Fucking Life over on Drive-Thru, the patrons had a good look through it and gave me some notes, and I made some adjustments, which I think actually made the zine better. We also have a $5 tier, which you can play a game with me every month. I run a different RPG every single month. This month, I am running Vast Grim, which is topical because we're going to be having Brian Collin on the show very soon. And you also get a $10 tier where you can jump in on Stu's apparently very deadly West Marches campaign, and you could also get it on my tier as well with that as well. And again, our Patreon is a killer community we'd love for you to be a part of. Patreon.com/vintagerpg. Also, if you like the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Your reviews really do help other listeners to find us, and I think we could definitely quantify that over the last 7 years. Telling people is the best way to get the word out now. So with that, for Stu Horvath, I'm John Hambone McGuire. May the dice always roll in your favor.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Every review helps other listeners to find us. The Vintage RPG Podcast is a ham-fisted production. Music by Dega West. Art by Schaefer Brown. If you like the podcast, you should also consider becoming a patron at patreon.com.